I kind of begrudgingly respect just the dedication to not getting better at what you do for a living. Just coast through life.
It probably shouldn't even happen.
If you got it, you got to flaunt it, Acid.
You know what? I got a lot of stuff that I don't want to flaunt, so I just keep it to myself.
Jeremy is really big into the used mattresses. That's an excellent deal.
He has a used mattress store on the side.
I'm not going to pull the pants down without the pants down cue.
And we found out that Anthony's friends are all 13-year-old boys. Nice.
Clay, how you doing?
Doing a little more poorly after that terrible introduction. I was just fine, to be honest with you.
Hello, Sci Fi Gangsters. This is a show where we talk about science fiction, comic books, and video games, but really it's just an excuse for me to catch up with my friends, old and new. I'm Anthony Denar, media scholar and person who loves controversy. Let me tell you, I love controversy. That's why we're having such a clickbait topic today, right? We're talking about sexism in the gaming industry. That's the topic for today. Let me tell you, I'm excited about the guests that we have today, right? Fantastic guests. Of course, up first, we got my co-hosts. We have Jeremy. Jeremy, how you doing?
Doing pretty good.
All right, excellent. Just that enthusiasm. You bring the energy. You bring the energy to the show.
It's important to balance things.
Yeah, sure. Excellent. And then, of course, my favorite Twitch streamer, Acidtrain. Acid, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And can I just say, Amanda, those headphones are
thank you.
Looking incredible. Look at those.
They're Logitechs.
I'm
I
jealous.
don't get paid for it.
Yeah, not sponsored.
Those are
but
definitely,
should be, right?
Definitely impressive set of headphones, that is. Most certainly. Excellent. Very good. But Acid, we just saw each other last night. We'll talk about that probably here in a second. But good to see you again.
Yeah.
Excellent. But let's get to our guests for today. I'm really excited to have both our guests. Up first, we have Dr. Amanda Cote, who is an assistant professor. Look, this is all professional. Assistant professor of media studies at the University of Oregon and author of Gaming Sexism, Gender and Identity in the Era of the Casual Video Games. Oh, look. What do I have? I also have a copy of Gaming Sexism. But yeah, just a book that I really enjoyed. If you're interested in reading about how particular games are sort of genderized, I just made that word up. So like how casual games are usually, like feminized and considered to be, less than your traditional games. Definitely check this out, how the industry sort of markets that. But fantastic book, definitely check that out. But Amanda, great to have you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to have you on. I'm really excited to have you on. And then, of course, our next guest here is, oh my goodness, it's an old friend, someone who I haven't seen in forever because he hides from you for a long time. Like you try to contact him, and then he ghosts you for 10 years. So Matt Zee, Matt, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. Happy to be here and actually to start talking to people again. Okay, so I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say. I may just sit back and enjoy, but thanks for having me.
We want to hear your opinion. We want to know what you have to say about this.
All right.
Right, actually.
Good luck with that.
I was kind of hoping Z would show up in one of his cosplay outfits that I see on Instagram. Yeah.
I do have my Tracer costume I thought about wearing for the occasion.
There you go.
Not today.
Excellent.
I thought I'd be a little bit more professional.
Matt, we both go to DragCon almost every year, and we never see each other but I do definitely see your social media posts. I see all your cosplay you do. I cosplay at DragCon. Yeah. I do one.
I see it right there, actually.
And my new mask is coming in. Hopefully it'll get here in time. My new Venom mask. This mask I got is like it covers half his face or half my face.
Oh, so you can actually see.
Yeah, so I can see. Actually, I literally cannot see out of that mask. Like I cannot see out of it. But yeah, so super excited to have all of you on. Once again, today's topic, we're talking about sexism in the gaming industry. We're talking about particularly about the Activision Blizzard. Like it's Activision Blizzard now, right? So because of the merger. So Activision Blizzard controversy, the lawsuit. We'll be talking about that in detail. And let me tell you, we have the perfect guest to talk about that. We have an expert in the field, and that is Dr. Amanda Cote. Wrote the book on sexism in the gaming industry. Sure. Well, I mean, most certainly more of an expert than the rest of us, right? But definitely great to have you on. Before we kind of continue, once again, you can check us out on YouTube. We're also in a podcast form on Spotify. So if you don't want to see these pretty faces, then you can definitely check us out in an audio format. Soon we will be streaming on Twitch as well. So we're all pretty excited about that. So that way we can double the viewers. So we'll have 3. I don't know how we had
We'll
one
have
and a half
2.
before.
We'll have 2 viewers.
We'll have 2. Yeah, I don't know.
So
Why
we can
3?
connect to the gaming community we're about to lambast.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
going to anger, right? We're going to connect with the gaming industry that we're just going to anger them. Certainly, most certainly. Maybe we'll get the clicks. All right. So, So before we begin, we always like to catch up first, right? Kind of just talk about what's new, what's going on with us. So I'll go ahead and begin. Acid, I just saw you last night because we did our first live appearance. Sci Fi Gangster in the first live appearance as part of Claiborne Cox's variety show that he had at the Crown of Comedy in Auburn. So we were his first guest up there, and let me tell you, the crowd was popping.
Yeah,
The crowd
sold out crowd.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, sold out to 6 people. Yeah, it was great.
Like I was telling everybody before you got here, Acid, as someone who has hosted comedy shows before, I know the feeling of when you have a show and no one shows up. It is the most miserable experience. Just seeing the disappointment on everybody's faces, from the owner to just the other comedians.
That happens every time I hit the go live button on my Twitch channel. Yeah, it's just nothing but disappointment.
So think of how many viewers we have for this show. That's how many in-person people we had at this comedy show, right?
Yeah.
So not the greatest turnout is what we're trying to say, but I think we all kind of made the best of it.
It was a good show, though. It was I kind of hated that no one was there to see it because, I mean, after, we were done and we got to sit in the audience, I had a fantastic time. The comedians were hilarious. Even the 6 people that showed up in the audience, they participated, and it was really a really good show. And I hate that, more people didn't get to see it.
Yeah, so the headliner was a gentleman, I don't even remember his name. That's unfortunate, but he had some good jokes. He had some solid, solid jokes. My favorite one, and I think I was the only one that laughed at this joke. But my favorite joke was he was talking about homeschooled kids, and he said, "What's the difference between my dog and homeschool kids?" And he says, "Well, my dog's vaccinated." And I laughed. I out loud laughed at that.
That's when the table moved for the first time.
I think that's when the table moved. I was constantly knocking over the table. I laughed. No one else laughed at that one, but I definitely enjoyed that. But it was a good show. Everyone was funny. By the way, Jeremy, you weren't there because you had work. Sure, right? You had work.
I snuck him into the video. If you haven't seen the recap video of the performance from last night, it is on our YouTube channel. You should go check it out. And I did sneak Jeremy's face in there. So if you can find it, you win something special.
I did. I pulled it up for a second. The video quality actually looked pretty good. It did look like you got a good show from it.
I think it went well. Let me just say this, Acid, you were hilarious. You were funny. Great job. I mean, you did well. I know
I look funny. I mean, Z knows that. I know I look pretty funny, but I don't.
I think you're handsome.
Oh, thanks, man.
The beard is very coming of you.
Beard. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, you had that in 5th grade.
I did 4th grade. Yeah, 4th grade. Yeah.
All right. Well, excellent. So, that's what's going on with me. We'll go ahead and go over to Amanda. Amanda, what's new?
Well, it's summer, which for academics is when we do all of our research and writing. But other than that, in more interesting things, I recently bought all of the old Age of Empires games in preparation for Age of Empires 4 coming out later this year.
Nice.
They mostly hold up. The pathfinding is atrocious. So I tried playing original Age of Empires 1 for a little bit, and I couldn't take it anymore. But 2 still mostly holds up. So I'm working my way up to the new series. So that's fun things going on lately.
Are you also an Age of Mythologies fan?
Yes, but less so. Like
Less
Age
so.
of Empires 2 and Caesar 3 and Civilization 3 were like the games
Civs
of
are
my growing up.
Yeah.
Age of Mythology came out slightly later, and I was already fully committed
You
to
were
Age of
fully
Empires
committed.
at that point.
That's fair.
So I've never played Age of Empires. Is that more of a turn-based or is it a real-time strategy game?
Yeah, it's in the vein of like Civilization. It's you start, you build a civilization, you go attack. It is not turn-based. I'm trying to remember because I've been playing the old versions just against the robots. No, it is not turn-based. It is more real-time. So not quite as much.
Very StarCraft-ish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. And of course, my favorite turn-based game is Galactic Civilizations. Galactic Civilizations, which is a science fiction version of Civilization, right? So it's a go ahead and pitch that one out there for everybody. But once again, Amanda, great to have you on. I'm really excited to have you on. I'm always fascinated to meet the people, the authors of the books that I read. It's fascinating to me. So once again, very excited to have you on. Excellent.
I'm just excited people are reading it.
Oh, hey, I am reading it, I did read it, and I definitely really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to your next book. By the way, do you have a title planned out for this next one?
So it's very early stages, but it's totally different. There's a series about influential video game designers that Bloomsbury publishes, and so I'm trying right now to work on a manuscript to pitch to that series. So very early stages, do not have a contract, no publication date, but I'm working on it.
It sounds like me and my prospectus, very early on in the process. No, but I'm very, very excited to read that book coming out. Excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to Matt Zee. Matt, what's new?
Oh, what isn't new since it's been about 10 years now? Well, since you last saw me in Auburn, I've since gotten a job here in the great state of Georgia in the beautiful city of Atlanta. So I'm in the middle of traffic and everything. It takes me at least an hour to get anywhere.
Nice.
I work in a software company that does accounting for chickens. So I count chickens before they hatch. It's the dream job that I've had since I was in grade school. We opened up a book and it was like, oh, chicken poultry software. And I was like, that's the job for me. I recently just bought a house, so I'm trying to get everything up as I can. As the two of you that already know me, I am a massive toy collector. So half of my unpacking is not furniture building or like living supplies. It's action figures that are just all around, lying everywhere. So cardboard boxes for days. That's all I can really.
Matt. Whenever I get my in-game Thor from Hot Toys come in, whenever it does eventually come in.
Oh, so you got the Fat Thor.
We need to have an unboxing.
Okay, because I have the Cap, and I have the Cap. I haven't opened him yet, and I have Iron Man on a payment plan right now.
All right.
So, yeah, that would be great. Actually, let's do that. I am all for that. Go ahead and sign me up for that. I'll call off of work that day.
Okay, we're already scheduling.
He's already calling in sick.
Let's
Anthony.
do it. Save.
He's already going into quarantine for that.
Save the date.
I did get an email from Hot Toys saying that my Thor is coming in earlier than expected, which is kind of gutsy for them to say, considering that it was expected to come in January.
Everything
and now it's
got
coming
delayed
early.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have any of my Marvel stuff in here.
I have one. I'll just do this real quick. Can you see my Infinity War cap back there?
Yes, because he's got the Get This Man a Shields. He
does.
So yeah, fantastic. I look forward to that.
We're already going off the rails this particular episode. We're supposed to be talking about gaming, sexism in gaming. We're talking about Hot Toys, but also another great topic. Excellent.
I feel like I need to flex my Steam library or something because those are my Hot Toys. Everything's digital.
Right, excellent. We'll go ahead and move on to Jeremy. Jeremy, what's new?
As far as anything fun, absolutely nothing. I'm just looking forward to Dragon Con. So I leave in less than 5 days.
Already counting down. So are you going So are you going Wednesday night to Dragon Con?
We're on Tuesday night.
Oh,
You're
you're one of
Tuesday
those.
night.
Tuesday is the new Friday now.
So you're going
Yeah.
Tuesday night, and you're going to go from Tuesday to, you said Monday? Is that how long
To
you stay?
Tuesday. Tuesday.
You're going
Tuesday.
Tuesday to Tuesday. Wow, you are going hardcore here. You're going hardcore.
Yeah, man, I got to make up for not going last year and not do anything else.
More power to you. I have to do that annoying thing where I got to teach, and then on Wednesday, I'm going to drive up there Thursday, kind of do a day of it, and then come back to teach again on Friday, and then go back after class and go back to, because I can't really get out of my Friday class at Auburn.
It's going to be tough to teach that Friday class.
It is going to be very tough.
Yeah.
Like, I could be at Dragon.
You should
Con
go.
right now.
You should go in your Venom costume and teach.
I
someone.
should. I should. Most
Bring them
certainly.
along. Bring them along. They'll love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're all excited about a Dragon Con. Jeremy, I know me and you, we have several things planned. Probably, maybe not. I'm
Yeah,
looking
my
forward-
schedule's it's pretty full.
You hosting any panels?
Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much for including me in your schedule,
No,
Jeremy.
like the stuff that we would do if the hour is free.
Okay.
Like it's not like I'm planning the days. It's just on the app. If I have time here, I want to go to this thing.
All right, sounds. Now, Amanda, are you someone who goes to fan conventions at all? Have you been to any fan conventions?
I have not been to a fan convention in a while. I think I went to Motor City Comic Con a couple years ago, and I was still in grad school. They're fun but overwhelming, so I'm very impressed that Jeremy is committing a whole week to this. I don't know if I have the strength to make it through that many days.
That is
I,
pretty impressive.
I get
But yeah, go ahead,
stronger
Drew.
every day of con. Like I look so much better on the last day than I do the first. And then it's just
That's his superpower.
wait till the next year.
Looks better every day.
Now, is
But-
that
but-
by comparison to everyone else or overall?
No,
what's
that's just
the metric here?
relative to me.
Ah.
But Dragon Con is a different con. Like it very much is a different con from like the Fan Expo or Wizard World or anything like that. If you've been to some of those, it's more of a party con in a lot of ways. Like it's just you go. There's so many different things you can do, not just at the convention, but all the various like bars and everything are doing stuff as well. So it's definitely kind of a different, most certainly a different experience. And the fact that they're requiring showing that you're vaccinated or at least you have a negative test is fantastic. I was so excited about that. Hopefully they'll be enforcing the mask rule, so that'll be pretty awesome as well. But Matt, you're how long are you going to be at Dragon Con? What?
I'm going Thursday to Tuesday. Yeah, they're also cutting attendance essentially by half, and they're no longer doing Saturday day passes. So that's the one thing I'm really looking forward to are like lighter crowds. Oh my gosh.
Because Dragon Con gets pretty insane, especially on Saturday. Saturday is like you kind of just have to pick one or two things you're doing that day and just go do that because you're not going to be able to move around that much just because of how many people. And the way Atlanta's set up and the way the con's set up where it's in hotels rather than a conference center, there's so many like confined spaces and people are constantly like, so obviously with COVID, this is like not ideal. This is not an ideal situation to be in. But hopefully people will be wearing the mask. Most people will be vaccinated, and hopefully things won't go bad, turn into a super spreader. But yeah, so let's go ahead and move on to Acid. What's new with you?
What is new with me? I got my CPR training. I'm officially trained in CPR and seizure first aid, so that's pretty exciting. I've also gotten trained in like the mechanical workings of how to attach wheelchairs to the special needs buses and stuff. So I got all that stuff out of the way. So CPR is a workout. Okay, even just during the training, those dummies are like, you gotta. I feel like I'm gonna break somebody's rib cage, if I do that. But hey, you know what? You have a broken rib cage, but you're alive, so we'll fix your ribs later.
So out of curiosity, what do you do for a seizure first aid?
So for seizure first aid, so just in like general, there are several different types of seizures, and I won't get into any of the specific layers. I mean, I didn't even know this. There are so many different types of seizures, but just like for like your like really hardcore type, fallout hit the ground seizures. You just basically have to get everybody calm around you. You know, nobody needs to freak out. Get a jacket or a book bag or something to put on their head. If you can, roll them over to their side so they're not banging their head and like flapping around and stuff like that. The videos were just absolutely heartbreaking when you have to, you know, when you have to see what's going, like, this is what could happen, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, well, let's mentally prepare for that. But basically, just time the seizure. Make sure you know how long the seizure lasts, so you can tell the parent, or the, you know, so they can tell the doctor and that kind of stuff. So, but other than that, I mean, there's really nothing you can do other than stay calm, time it, and make them as comfortable as possible.
I was about to say, is most of it not actually like preventing it or stopping it? It's just making sure they don't do any kind of harm to themselves, essentially.
Yeah, and there are some seizures, like some of these kids have seizures like every 10 minutes, which is crazy. And they have these devices on them. I didn't even know about this. It's this magnet that they put on their shoulder, and there's like a little watch looking thing that goes from the top to the bottom. And if they start having a seizure, you take that and you move the watch down this magnet, and it's supposed to like decrease the time that they have the seizure. Yeah, they called it something. I don't remember what it was called, but we've only got one student that has that. But yeah, it was just a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't even know existed. I'm like, what did I just sign up for? But it's okay, because I know now if anybody passes out, I can at least attempt to save their life correctly. So, you know. But it was very informative. I don't want to say I enjoyed my time, but I'm glad I know it. You know, I'm glad I know what I know now.
Yeah. So excellent. Hopefully, you'll never have to use that. Use your training, right? As someone, you know, as a firefighter, I think I've done CPR way more than I've actually fought fires.
Really?
My time as a firefighter. So it is kind of it can be kind of a traumatic experience. You don't want to know what happens when you do CPR on somebody. It's kind of it's one of those things that kind of sticks in your head.
You don't know, and you don't. I mean, it's that possible. Okay, 30, all right, and then 2, and then 30, and then you just do that over and over again until you can get an AED somewhere, or you know, help from somewhere, and it's just you don't know how long you're going to be there doing that. So
yeah,
and most of the time when you do
statistics,
go ahead, please.
I was going to say, aren't the statistics of it, like if you have to do CPR, it's very unlikely to have any real effect.
If you start right off the bat, it's far more likely that you will be able to save the person. Like if they collapse immediately and you perform CPR, you're far more likely. But the problem is a lot of times there's always some sort of delay, right? Either the EMTs have to get there, or like people just don't know how to do CPR when someone collapses. So there's usually some sort of delay involved. But if you can get there quickly and start CPR, I mean, I've done it several times, and I think I've only brought back one person, and I don't know what happened to that person in the hospital either. So it's like, it's just one of those things where, you know, you do what you can do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good, excellent. There you go. There's where we're all caught up, right? Where we're talking.
And next week we're going to talk about CPR training.
We're talking about CPR. We're talking about Dragon Con, right? We're slowly losing our 3 people that were listening.
They're gone. They left an hour ago.
Who were super excited about gaming, sexism in gaming. So anyways, all right, so let's go ahead and get to our particular topic for today. I'm not exactly sure how this conversation is going to go. There's really no organizational pattern, so we can kind of like hit on some points. So what I want to do is I kind of wanted just to take it to the expert. And kind of, so Amanda, I know, look, you're more so than us, most certainly, right? So the only thing that I know what's going on with this particular incident is Activision Blizzard is currently in a lawsuit with the state of California, I believe, over a long tradition of sexism in the industry. And actually, I read a recent article where they talked about how there maybe some of the people were were shredding evidence and that sort of hiding evidence of this as well. So they're kind of even getting in more hot water over that. So I kind of want to just take it over to you and kind of just get a good idea of what's going on in this particular controversy.
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting we're talking about this week because, of course, the lawsuit broke about a month ago, but some new recent updates came out this week, which are really interesting. But background, basically, Activision Blizzard is being sued by California, the California Department of Fair Housing and Employment. And then they're actually facing a second lawsuit from their own shareholders because the California DFHE has been investigating them for 2 years, and apparently they did not report this to their shareholders, who are now quite angry at the company's losses that have been sustained since they didn't disclose this info. So they're facing 2 separate lawsuits. But the one that most people know about, the lawsuit from the state of California, is based on, all the journalists keep using this phrase, the frat boy culture that Activision Blizzard not encouraged, that was occurring in Activision Blizzard. And I don't love that phrase because I think it really minimizes how terrible a place to work this was, according to the reports coming out in this lawsuit. So I prefer thinking of it as they're being sued by the state of California for sustaining a workplace that allowed for really egregious harassment of, in particular, female employees.
Yeah, excellent. So obviously, it's not just the gaming industry that's sort of been accused of this toxic atmosphere, but like so social media companies like Facebook and that sort of thing. Obviously, we can kind of dive into sort of like the toxic masculinity involved in this particular. But I didn't know if anyone kind of wanted to jump in with some questions or anything.
I have, as you can tell, I'm wearing my Hearthstone hat, and I actually have a Hearthstone t-shirt. I have been a fan of Blizzard since I can remember. I mean, B and Z go back to our GameStop days. And I mean, I played World of Warcraft ever since 2005. I've been playing Hearthstone since 2014 when it came out. And to hear this and to see what's going on, and I brought this up last week when Lindsay was on. Like, there are some terrible people in this company. They're terrible people that did this, that allowed this to happen. I'm not mad at the Blizzard name. Like, I'm not mad at the Blizzard name. Like, this is just something that's happened under the Blizzard name. I am extremely upset with the people who have done this and who have acted in this way. And I mean, it's ridiculous. And I mean, let's be honest, the higher ups that are looking at this they've never played a video game in their life. They have no idea what's going on. All they care about is how quickly they can line their pockets with cash. And that's unfortunate. I mean, even J. Allen Brack stepped down because of this. And I mean, he wasn't my favorite guy. I mean, Mike Morhaime was my favorite guy back, years ago before he stepped down. But I have invested so many years of my life into Blizzard games. And I just, like, part of me goes, do I just stop? Do I just walk away? Do I just leave it all behind and say, you know what, screw this? There are plenty of other games out there that I can thoroughly enjoy, Or do I stick with it and hope and pray that things get better and that things are taken care of the way they should be taken care of, and eventually it will be better. But over the past 5 years, it's just kind of been on this steady decline of this is not going well. So I'm kind of curious about what Amanda thinks of like if you were in my shoes, what would Amanda do? Let's ask that question.
I've been in your shoes. I don't know first if I'm quite as willing to kind of let higher ups or assume that this is a higher up problem rather than a systemic problem, but that's a different thing. But having a game company whose product.
Oh no!
Oh, she froze. Like right, and like look at that face too.
Just like right when she was getting to something good too.
I know.
Right when she was.
She was about to unveil the secret.
You love and have invested a ton of.
Oh, she's back. You froze.
All right, am I back? Yeah.
We got none
Sorry,
of that.
There it is. It pops up my internet connection is unstable after I've frozen because Zoom's really helpful.
Okay.
No, I could still hear all of you, so I knew I froze. I've been in that situation because Blizzard is not the only company who's faced this. Of course, Riot faced a similar lawsuit in 2018, and Ubisoft has faced I believe a couple of these at this point. And Assassin's Creed is one of my favorite
I
game
love
series
Assassin's
of
Creed.
all time. And so to find out that this this company who, puts this disclaimer on all of their games, like this game was made by a group of people of diverse backgrounds and beliefs and ethnicities, and then find out that they had this kind of horrible workplace culture going on, was devastating. And it's been really interesting to hear industry members' takes on this as well. A lot of devs say don't boycott the products because at this point, they've already put their heart and soul into them. They worked through these toxic conditions to make the products. They're still proud of what they did. They're still proud of the games themselves. So some people say that. Others say things like a boycott and a loss of profits is going to be the thing that makes game companies change their behavior. So I think it's a decision we all kind of have to make on our own.
Because I'm kind of on the fence. Like, it wasn't the majority of the company that was doing all this. It was just this, this small group of idiots, that decided this is how we're going to act when we're at work, and we're going to get drunk, and we're going to, do whatever inappropriate. It's ridiculous. So the people, especially the females in that, have definitely put their heart and soul into this game and are not getting paid what they should be paid, or not getting the respect that they should be. And one of my family members is actually female on the Hearthstone team, and I haven't heard from her. She's like distant, super distant, like step cousin twice removed. So I talk to her like once a year. But it's those people that I'm just kind of like, I don't want to give up on you. I'm not giving up on you. I want to support you, but at the same time, your coworkers are complete dog crap. Like what do it's kind of like, what do you do? So
I think that brings up an interesting question, though, Amanda, and I feel like you wanted to kind of address this, and that is, I think it's important to say that maybe this isn't just a couple of bad apples, but maybe this is more of a systemic problem. So the atmosphere of the particular company has been allowing this, and the fact that no one has really, I'm sure people have tried to speak up about what's been going on, but there was really no checks and balances. But yeah, so I want, if you wanted to address that.
Yeah. So the thing about the few bad apples phrase that everyone always forgets is that the full phrase is a few bad apples spoil the bunch. Like, even if it is the action of a small group of bad apples, they spoil the whole bunch. And I do firmly believe that issues in video games usually are the actions of a small group of negative people. I believe this in terms of like who harasses female gamers. Whenever I talk to female gamers, they always emphasize it's a small group of people. But darn, those people are vocal and they can ruin the whole experience, even if the majority of people are good. So that the fact that that phrase like, oh, it's only a few bad apples, kind of negates the impact of the bad apples. But yes, I do see this as kind of those bad apples not being removed or penalized for their behavior is the systemic problem. So it's not that everyone in gaming is terrible. Would never say that. Most people in gaming are great. But bad behavior is allowed to kind of persist in that small group without being dealt with effectively, and then that ends up having these like really strong, broader systemic impacts. And I see this in this particular topic kind of coming from two places. One's the structure of the games industry. It's a hard industry to work in. It's hard to have a say because it's very tenuous contract-based work. Game workers aren't unionized, for instance, so there's not a lot of power for one individual game person. And then the other influence, I would say, is kind of the expectation of who we think of as gamers, this kind of strong in-group versus out-group mentality and how that plays out around things like gender. So these two forces, I think, are what make these issues really bad.
Yeah, excellent. And this reminds me of another particular, so CrossFit in a lot of ways, the controversy I had surrounded about CrossFit reminds me a lot about that. And I'll kind of get into that here in a little bit, but I do want to give like Matt Zee a chance to say anything or ask any questions that you might have.
Oh, yeah. So the damage has been done. It's here now. So in that case, what does it take to fix? Like in your opinion, at least, yeah, you don't have to speak for the majority. For you, what would it take to kind of undo this? I mean, they're slowly beginning to acknowledge it. From what I understand, they've actually removed Jesse McCree's name. It is no longer canon because he was named after one of the people who was apparently involved. I mean, is that the right step? I mean, like, what else would it take to kind of like win back the trust of everybody here?
So I think improvements for all workers in the industry is one of the steps that's needed here. So the video game industry is project based. A lot of people get hired for certain stages of projects. They're on contract rather than full-time employees, and then they move to another company. And so there's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of tenuousness. And not a lot of stability. And people who work in games do it because they love games. And so there's always kind of more workers than there are positions. So this makes it really hard to have security in your job, to push back against your employers because you're there to make the games you love. And so I think a lot of game workers have been pushing for collective bargaining. They've been pushing for kind of an industry-wide union like the Screen Actors Guild or the Writers Guild of America, something that would cover them as they move from position to position. So that's definitely an option. And I think we also need to keep redefining what counts as games, right? Because a lot of this is this idea that gamers meet a certain set of gatekeeping criteria, game industry workers meet a certain set of gatekeeping criteria, and others are outsiders, and therefore we don't have to let them in our clubhouse. And so changing that culture as well and recognizing that gaming is already broader than it used to be and already includes a lot more people is going to be kind of the other step.
Yeah, and you talk about this in your book a lot, Gaming Sexism, this idea that casual games are often considered to be less than, right? And when they become sort of associated or coded as feminine, then what you end up doing is you associate femininity with unauthentic, right? So challenging sort of the authenticity of gaming. So there's almost like this pushback against that. So. But yeah, excellent. Very good. Jeremy, I want to give you a chance to ask any questions or say anything about this particular controversy.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. So one, do you think this kind of behavior is like a holdover or a remnant from sort of the behavior that happened in tech companies, like the early days of Silicon Valley, or is it something inherent to gaming?
I think a lot of it is still a holdover of our expectations. So I've done some work on the games industry with one of my grad students, Brandon Harris. And one of the things we find that's really interesting is when people talk about the industry, they have this kind of nostalgia for its early Silicon Valley roots, like a bunch of guys in their garage working on something they love. That phrase, like a bunch of guys in their garage, comes up kind of over and over and over again. And so I think one of the things we concluded is that because people have this nostalgia for perhaps this innovative, creative, unregulated era of the industry, they actually often resist some of the formal policies that would make their lives as workers easier. I won't say easy. No work is ever easy. But for instance, some of them don't love having HR departments and the other kinds of trappings of corporate life because they feel like it separates them from this creative space. So I think a lot of it is a holdover of we're a creative industry. We just want to work on things we love. We're not corporatized. And I would hope that as the industry kind of continues to come into its own and recognize that it already is an industry, some of that will go away.
Yeah, I've kind of always thought of it more as like a prolonged adolescence, more so than, an actual creative thing. Yeah, do you know the gender demographics at Activision?
Not off the top of my head. The industry.
Did the article say it was 20% female?
It may have. The industry itself is about that, about 80% male, but the distribution of gender across different roles is also an interesting thing. Programming, coding, kind of the hard tech roles are 90 to 100% male, the soft roles perhaps, or the non-game roles such as PR and marketing, that's where you find most female employees. So that has a lot to do with kind of how we socialize people towards games, the fact that the people who grow up playing games, love games, want to work in games tend to be men. But that distribution between the people making the games hands-on and then the people promoting the games has some interesting gender elements to it.
I think that kind of plays along with a narrative that you hear a lot in terms of like the myth of like the white male genius that you see a lot in media, in terms of like we saw how we idolize figures like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk as these like these creative geniuses that are sort of pushing the industry with sort of progressing, creating these new technologies and kind of framing it as sort of like the standard of what it means to be a genius, or what it means to actually create things. So I think it kind of ties into that as well. What do you think about that? Oh, no one.
I'm going to see if anyone else has an answer for that one
I'm
first.
not really sure I followed, actually. I don't know if I made the jump with you.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm kind of speaking out of turn. So no, just this idea, like this myth. Whenever we do frame particular white males as these geniuses, so like Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, this idea that it becomes almost like this myth that gets perpetuated.
So you're saying that's why those people, like in certain roles, were predominantly male?
No, I'm just saying it sort of ties into that. It gets perpetuated in media. So
So you're saying that just the media focuses more solely on the Elon Musks of the world and the Bill Gates of the world rather than,
I mean, look at superheroes, for instance. Of course, we're having this big resurgence, especially now that Disney's being more proactive about representation, because we have Shang-Chi coming out this week. But before, there's the big things like Spider-Man, white, Fantastic Four, white, Superman, white, Batman, white males. Just so I kind of see what he's saying. It's just that, like I said, we kind of idolize these, and as the culture begins to grow, believe it or not, we're slowly becoming more aware of other cultures, and that, hey, it's not all about the white savior. Hell, white Jesus. I mean, seriously. I see what he's saying.
Maybe I didn't explain it very well. So
I don't disagree. It's just the link to what we were talking about. I didn't follow the link.
Well, let me kind of explain what I'm talking about. Sometimes I don't explain things very well. So it kind of ties into this idea of the meritocracy, right? So we tend to think of those that are successful as those who deserve their success, and we often ignore the sociocultural factors that led to that, right? And we ignore the barriers. So whenever we kind of paint these people as like the successful people, like the Elon Musks, the Mark Zuckerbergs, we ignore all these sociocultural factors that contributed to their success. The fact that they're, white in the United States, they're male, there's all the other barriers for marginalized communities. They were all born in wealthy families. But then what ends up happening is, in a meritocracy, we say, oh, these are successful people and they're all white males. So we perpetuate this idea that only white males can be successful, or there's some sort of like inherent superiority to that. That's kind of what I'm talking about. I know I didn't explain that very well. Hopefully I kind of cleared it up a little bit. I don't know.
I think that actually kind of links back to the point Jeremy made about the video game industry still kind of being in its adolescence. Like, if we think about it, video games are at most 60-something-ish years old. Like, there's some argument over what the first video game was. It's like a analog one made at Brookhaven National Laboratories, Nuclear Research Lab in Long Island. Tennis for Two.
Force? Is that what it's called?
No, so Tennis for Two was actually first, but it was an analog computer game, not a digital computer game. And it was created in 1958. It was kind of like put together for a Visitors Day thing to give kids something fun to play with while they visited the Nuclear Research Lab. And then it was taken apart and kind of forgotten about. Space War is the second kind of contender for first video game. And so that came out in 1961, 1962. But if we think about where these games were made, a national research laboratory or Massachusetts Institute of Technology, who had access to the computers in those spaces. And so games kind of grew up out of certain spaces and haven't really existed long enough to completely grow out of that. So I think both of your points actually kind of pull together pretty nicely there.
And what ends up happening is diversity almost gets framed as this attack against sort of authenticity of the field, right? Because of that, in a lot of ways. When we talked about the crisis of authority, right? When we had diversity, very good, excellent. All right. Any other questions? Anyone want to ask any other questions or kind of mention anything else about this particular?
Yeah, I have one. So I mean, there's a lot of different angles of sexism in gaming, from in the actual industry and just in people who are gamers. Is there like a distinction? So the people in Activision, like, they were doing this in person, right? I mean, they pushed that lady to kill herself, but a lot of the online stuff is done under the shield of anonymity. So it just seems like a different level of psychopathy to do something in person, like, versus some troll who's on Reddit.
So the kind of, I'm having to think about that for a second. So I think it's like a two-prong attack, right? So obviously you have industrial factors, but then you also have cultural factors. You have individual communities that are also reinforcing these sexist, racist, toxic elements in the culture itself. So it's almost like like I said, like a two-prong approach, right? You got the industry perpetuating racism and sexism, like in terms of like representation in the game, but also in the industry and creating barriers. But then you also have the communities themselves that are also policing what's going on in this particular instance. I mean, Gamergate is the great example, right? So Gamergate would be an example of the gaming community acting in a reactionary way, policing legitimate complaints about sexism in gaming, right? And how toxic that was, right? Which is, it's kind of different from the Activision controversy in a lot of ways, but the sort of the similar kind of the components to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is kind of why the phrase frat boy culture has been picked up so much to talk about the Activision lawsuit, Activision Blizzard lawsuit, even though I already discussed why I object to that phrase being the one everybody picked up. Because in many ways, people think of gaming culture as a kind of adolescent frat boy culture. Like, oh, you're trash talking, but it's just part of the game. You're saying all of these things, but it's part of the culture. It's accepted. And there's actually some really interesting research, not enough of it to say this definitively, but there's some research that suggests, like, if you have a community, even an anonymous one online, that polices its norms and doesn't say things like trash talk or sexism or racism are acceptable, people will start to fall in line with those norms, and it'll be a positive space, even though it's anonymous. Again, there's like only a couple studies that have looked at this because very few people have put the time and energy into policing anonymous online communities. And so they've kind of let whatever culture grow. And I think game companies are dealing with that now that they've kind of tapped out their more traditional market and are looking to expand. They're like, oh, shoot, we let this kind of negative trash talk type of culture where anything goes grow. How do we deal with it now? And so I think that idea of like what you let, I'm not phrasing this pretty well, but like what you allow to grow in a culture can then bleed into the workplace if your workplace is in that culture and vice versa.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so I guess if the group reinforcement is the main factor, then not necessarily that you're doing this to someone in front of you versus.
Yeah, it's still hard to believe that this is like things that people did to their coworkers. Like it's devastating to read the full report and what was going on. But I would say curious, that like,
would it be appropriate to talk about, because I'm actually not very familiar with any of the individual incidents. Not that we need it to validate why this was wrong or anything, but can we give an example of a particular incident that happened? like once again, we don't need. I mean, it's not necessary to to say like things need to change, but I don't know. Maybe this could kind of give some perspective, because if we just kind of frame it as everybody was sexist or that sort of thing, then it's easy for people to kind of ignore it. But if we can kind of give an example of something that happened, maybe we can kind of just frame this as, hey, look, this is a lot more serious than maybe you thought. I don't know if anyone knew of any particular incident.
The article that I read, and it's kind of vague, but mentioned that some of the male employees would come in being proud that they were hungover. They would also drink at work heavily. Something to do with them crawling under desks and like physically touching the female workers and talking down to them, and they'd come in, like I said, hungover, and then give all their work that they were supposed to be doing themselves to those female employees. So the article kind of mentioned a lot of that kind of stuff that was going on.
Yeah, I think that highlights the two trends actually really well. If we're going back to talking about like the structure of the industry and then kind of gender norms in gaming culture, passing off all your work to other employees is kind of an industry deregulation, like lack of oversight type of thing. And then having it occur in gendered ways and also being accompanied by sexual harassment of those female employees, we're kind of getting at both this idea of like, well, women aren't insiders in game culture, so who cares how we treat them? And then also this kind of idea of video game industry jobs perhaps needing to be a little bit more structured and grow beyond, as Jeremy phrased it earlier, their adolescence in some ways.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. Does anyone else want to ask questions about this particular controversy? Ask Amanda any question?
Not about this particular controversy, but I am kind of curious to know. So we talked about the companies that have had, issues like this in the past. But as far as sexism in the actual games themselves are concerned, I would like to bring up Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto and those types of games that have these types of scenarios in the actual game themselves. And why aren't we seeing more of these types of things brought to light, going, hey, why are you allowed to put this in the actual game itself and that be okay, but then, that be accepted, but this is not accepted, you kind of see what I'm saying here? Like, it's, why are they, I guess my question is, why are they allowed to do that? What makes it different?
So, to my understanding, I'm not defending Rockstar or Grand Theft Auto or anything. Is that Grand Theft Auto does it in? I've never played it, to tell you the truth, either. They do it in a satirical sense, so it's quote unquote okay, and that's kind of how they get away with it. Because Grand Theft Auto 5 up to this point is more so like a satire on modern American culture and capitalism. So I guess that's kind of how they get away with it.
Or all those kids playing it, viewing it as a satire.
Exactly. It's like, let me.
I own Grand Theft Auto. Mm-hmm. It's there are some things in that game that are very entertaining and very fun to do, but then you get to certain parts and you're like, how did that even make it into this? Like, why is this okay? Yeah. Like, why do I need to do this in order to progress? That just throws you for a loop. I was like, that can't be okay in the grand scheme of things when you're making these games. Like, you can make those types of really hardcore, adult, or mature games without that stuff. I mean, come on.
By this point, where's the line?
Yeah, exactly. Where does the line? Where's the line?
Oh, it's digital media. It's art, right? There's that big debate. It's like, is art video games art? Yeah. It's like that's how they quote unquote pass it off. So. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, and I'm sure Amanda will be able to answer this even better than me. But I can tell you for a fact that scholars have been complaining about the representation in games for a very, very long time, right? So it's not like it's been sort of like ignored. I mean, video game scholars have been complaining about representation, particularly when it comes to the representation of women in video games for a very, very long time, all the way back to Lara Croft and that sort of thing, right? the sexualization of women in video games. Now, obviously, we can kind of pinpoint it to these are men creating these games, and they're creating with them for like men in mind, right? So this idea that there's an assumption that women aren't going to want to play this game, so we can
But is it that, and I'm not trying to defend this, is it that, or do they have the statistics saying, well, we've been doing this and the sales have been doing this when we do this, but if we change it, then are the sales going to do this because now we're not going towards our audience that we were going to, and now we're trying to be more diverse, and the main audience that that we're usually catering to doesn't want that, and so they're not going to buy our game. So I mean, yes, we want diversity in games, but from their standpoint, yeah, it sounds like a good idea, but why do it when the lines
what we're doing is just fine?
Our
yearly Call of Duty game is fine. Yeah,
Call of Duty's been the same thing for the last 15 years. I mean, it's never changed, and I don't see it ever changing. The graphics get better. I mean, that's maybe a new storyline. But yeah.
I do want to give Amanda a chance to answer this question.
We've touched on so
she
many
had a
things.
look on her face.
Read a response theory. No, you're definitely right. Like the video game industry, if we look at something like video game budgets, they have skyrocketed as people have focused on better graphics, longer play times, being more involved, etc. And so video gaming as an industry is super risk averse. Sometimes I think that they're all still like recovering from 1983 when everything crashed and like Atari closed and had to bury ET in a landfill.
Poor ET.
So doing what has worked is a solid business strategy. That's why we keep getting Call of Duties, because people keep buying them. But there is some evidence that shows that doing anything minimal to target broader audiences actually is beneficial. So I'm thinking like Mass Effect 3 put both male Shepard and female Shepard on the cover. That's a very small nod to people who play FemShep, female audiences. Or
even Assassin's Creed with Alexios and Cassandra.
Exactly. The first Assassin's Creed to have both male and female main characters outsold previous ones.
Yeah.
And so these, or Dragon Age Origins, which has a trans character, is one of the best-selling games in that franchise. And so when I talk to female gamers about this, and I talk to a lot of female gamers, they never say, like, you can't make another Call of Duty. They never say, we don't want the games that are already out there. They say, we want some knowledge that people are also thinking of us. One of my participants had this great line about it, because I expected them to like be upset about how sexually objectified female characters are. And they really weren't, unless it was like armor that didn't logically make sense in the situation, like armor that doesn't protect your vital organs. They were mad about that. Fighting in high heels, that one was annoying. But one of them said this line that really stuck with me. She said, like, sex is fine, porn is fine, but why do I always have to look like a porn star in every game I play? So it's not that she wanted all of those objectified characters gone, it's that she also occasionally wanted other options. And so that's the thing, is like, there is some evidence that says nodding to a diverse audience is actually good for business. And then there's also this thing that says you don't have to stop doing what you're doing. You don't have to stop including all of the things that appeal to your current audience. You just also like sometimes show that maybe you've thought of other people too.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of appreciate like the Bethesdas of the world, with their Elder Scrolls. Like you have your set race, and then you can manipulate your character however you want. You can make them look however you want, even to the point, I think, what was it? Oh, so we were talking about Cyberpunk a few months ago. I mean, as glitchy as that game was, when you create your character in Cyberpunk, I mean, they have a dong slider. I mean, that is how detailed they get, okay? Like, it is ridiculous. So I kind of agree. I think there should be more options as far as, like, character customizations. But, if you want to leave the main character the same name, it's fine, whatever. But let's get those options instead of just going, all right, here's the guy, here's the girl, you pick, let's get some more options in there.
Or here's the guy and here's the other guy and you pick,
here's the other
which
guy.
Has been a lot of gaming history.
Yep. Yeah, excellent. Very good. Yeah, excellent. All right, any other questions or concerns? I think I mentioned I was going to talk about the CrossFit controversy. I don't think we should really get into that. I don't really have enough time, but just kind of the same similar issue with when you have the CEO of the company kind of continually doing these things that everybody is not liking and not enjoying, but they feel like they don't have the power to say anything because he is the CEO, he owns the company. Then all of a sudden, people are starting to realize, oh yeah, we don't have to put up with this anymore, and he can kind of get forced out. But just kind of a similar situation. Don't really need to get into this, but yeah. So, anyways, but yeah. So, any other questions about this particular? So let's go ahead and get to our last segment of the show, and that is trivia. Now, I think it's very, very important to state this. Amanda has been talking trash about how she's going to dominate. She's going to be talking, maybe not trash. Trash is not the right way.
Saying, based on my viewing of your previous episodes, I would have dominated all of you in the ones that I've watched. So we'll see if it holds up. This will be the day where you ask questions where I know nothing.
Well, like I told you before, saying that you could do better at trivia than me is not saying much at all, because I am terrible. But I'm looking forward to this. Of course, we have Jeremy. Jeremy is usually pretty good at trivia. Matt Zee, I'm not sure how well.
He's okay at trivia.
Yeah, Matt Zee, I don't know how. Like, how do you feel about this? Do you feel like you're gonna be pretty good?
Depends on the questions. Give me just a hint at are they modern? Are they comic related? Are they movie related? Pop culture? What?
So what we do is we play Geek Out, right? So Geek Out is you essentially, it's basically name that tune, right? You say you list how many superheroes can fly, and you say, oh, I can name 5, and then the next person goes, well, I can name 10, and then you go until someone says, okay, go ahead and name all those superheroes, and that person has to list out every one of those superheroes. Right. So that was just an example.
But
not every question is like
tune
that.
in reverse.
Yes,
sounds like a lot of pressure.
How many can you name? Is more what it is. So
I
we will
always crumble
start.
under the pressure.
Yeah, about to say I don't think I'm gonna fare well here either, but we'll see.
We're gonna go ahead and start with a sexism in gaming trivia question.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many companies have been sued?
Yeah, no, not that.
That
This
would be
was more on the weird side. So, how many video game protagonists can you name that do not wear pants? They just don't wear pants the whole game. And this is not, I can now make my character without pants. No, this is a character who just doesn't wear
By design.
pants by design. Yep. Give you a minute or so to think about that.
Do we just blurt it out? If we think
You
about
can-
it?
So we're all
Just
gonna
kind,
write
no,
down
yo,
our
just kind of
answers.
think about it for a minute. I'll go around to each person.
Do I gotta write it down, or
You can't, unless you. I mean, you're smart.
my memory's terrible.
Remember these.
Please.
Or you can type it.
I'll
Whatever.
put it
Bring
notepad.
it.
I'm on a
There you go.
computer. Notepad.
Yeah, get you a little post-it notepad on your computer.
And this is the main character of the game.
The main video game.
Oh, it has to be the
protagonist.
main character of the
The
game.
main character
Ah, shoot.
of said video game.
What if it's the main villain?
That's okay. I'll take main villain. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
take that. Yeah.
Because I have one.
He's got one. Let me just pull up Street Fighter. Find all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
Let me ask you this: do they have to be human?
No,
Okay.
no.
I would assume none
It
of them
just says
are
video.
human,
Look,
right?
video game protagonist.
What game are
main,
you playing? Where
main
all,
hero,
where all
main
your
villain.
answers are
Oh,
humans with no
none of
pants
mine are human.
All right, and so this is nothing on the lower half, right?
Correct.
We're not changing the okay.
Yeah, nothing on the lower half. I mean, I would.
Are we saying
I
that
will
they-
say underwear is. I mean, they're not gonna. Most video games are not gonna just unleash the privates. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
only
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk does that, but most other games won't do that. So
I'm searching my mind palace here.
they
This
they
is
have
my
the,
choice of.
the Ken or the Barbie doll look. You know what I mean? Downstairs.
I think it's important to state that Amanda's looking very confident right now.
Oh, I am not. This is where my choice of playing predominantly strategy games works
It's like,
against
man, Age of Empires did not prepare me for this question.
None of my Civilization characters wear pants.
Have you played Civ 6?
I have, yes.
Yeah,
Not as much
so
as I would
good.
like to. I gotta get more time in it.
Oh, such a good game.
Do we have to name the game or just the character?
If you know the character, why would you not know the
Yeah.
game?
Well, but no, like there's a thing like I know there was a game made with this character, but I never played it.
Oh, okay. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, give you another 20 seconds.
My brain just died.
Did you say your brain just died?
Yeah, like it seriously just died on me. I don't even know where I am right now.
All right. So the card starts off with 4. Who can name 4 right now? Okay, Z's got 4.
I got 4.
Jeremy's got 4. Anybody? Okay. Who's
I
got?
may have 5, but
Oh,
I
okay,
feel like we're
5.
gonna get in a fight about
I have
it.
5. All right. So does anybody have 6?
I mean, I kind of, well, because they're from the same thing.
Is it Katana and all women in Mortal Kombat? Because
No,
that's on
They're
my
all
list.
the same. They're all the same.
No, because well, I wasn't
Palette swap.
assuming those as not having pants because they do have some covering of the lower half, right?
I sort of like. Does a unitard count as not pants? Because I'm pretty sure that's what they're all wearing.
Oh, does this?
Oh,
That is what they're all wearing. That's
Wait,
true.
That's a
sorry.
good question. That's a good question. Does not wearing pants mean literally not wearing pants, or does it mean not being completely naked? That's the question that we're asking here.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. Was the question male
That-
or female? I'm sorry.
Either.
Oh, shoot.
Either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant when I
Either.
asked earlier.
Oh.
Acid was if
Matt's
you're-
like, I have 75 now.
Yeah, like is a dress? Is that pants?
I'm gonna say
Or are you talking about
not-
coverings?
I'm gonna say not covering the lower half.
Okay.
Not covering
I
the
yeah.
man/womanhood. You know what
I
I mean?
originally put down like peach because it's a dress and not pants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But then I
We're gonna
decided
go
that was
with
cheating.
non-coverings.
You can see the leg.
All right.
Right. I mean,
We'll s-
Katana original model.
Okay.
is-
We'll start.
innovative
Amanda
too.
seems like she's got the most, so let's hear your 5.
I had Katana and all matching models in Mortal Kombat.
That's fair.
Bayonetta, who is technically
Mm.
only dressed in her own hair.
That's fair.
Kirby,
Kirby, that's a good one.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
the angry goose from the Untitled Goose Game, which I've been spending a lot
Yes.
of time in lately. Angry Goose is my aesthetic these
Oh
days.
man.
And then I also had Alice from Resident Evil, but I think she actually has shorts on.
She probably does. She's probably like camo or
It's like shorts
cargo
under
shorts.
a dress in the original.
Because
So
where she's gonna put the knife, you know?
yeah. So I guess I've only got 4.
Okay. Well, let's hear Jeremy's 4. I'm curious.
So Donkey Kong,
That's a good
Sonic
one.
the Hedgehog,
Yep.
Donald Duck,
Yep.
and Pikachu.
Very good.
So what video game is Donald Duck?
Well, you could say any
He was in,
Pokemon at this point.
Quackshot, which was an old NES game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't he
that was
also
my
in
thing. Like
DuckTales?
if I was just naming, like Pokemon, like
Yeah, you can
know,
name all the Pokemon.
Yeah.
But we'll just say Pokemon in general.
Yeah.
Don't have pants. All right, Z, what do you have?
I got Conker from Conker's Bad Fur Day, Mickey Mouse, back to the license there, Yoshi, Kirby, and Donkey Kong, because all he's wearing is a
There you go.
tie.
Mickey
That
Mouse
ties-
does wear pants.
Yeah,
Oh, he
his
does. I'm
pants.
sorry.
That's right, yeah,
because
of the
Right.
suspenders.
It's,
Yeah,
just-
that's
it's
true.
the other way around. I was thinking of
Matt Z
Daffy.
has been disqualified.
I was thinking of Wacko. Never
And
mind.
what do you have, Mr. Stallion? To the
I have
north there?
Slender Man.
Slender Man.
He's wearing a suit.
Is he wearing a suit?
He's wearing a suit.
He
I
is
thought
wearing
he
a
was just like
suit.
this blob.
No,
No,
he's wearing a suit and he's
has
got a white
suit.
face.
Yeah.
So I have 0.
You have none. You couldn't even think of like any. Okay. Well, Amanda takes this round.
I don't know.
so
I think
I like
Jeremy
those
might have
answers.
actually beaten that one.
We're
Unless
gonna
I get
do-
to count.
Take the round while you can.
All right.
Okay.
Never
I'm
mind.
trying
If
to
it's a
help
decisive
you.
victory, it's all mine.
Take the round while you can.
Rock, paper, scissors for you.
That's right. All right, this one should be fairly easy, hopefully,
Mm.
for everyone. It's especially Anthony. I'm trying to give him an easy one so he might can win one.
The problem
Here
is the
we
easy
go.
ones aren't actually easy because if you name like 30 of them, then it's just
That's
hard
tough.
to remember all of them.
Yeah.
How many characters can you name from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Oh,
Whoa, come on. Stop with this.
Come on.
I mean, for something you hate so much, Anthony, surely
You should know.
intimate
Exactly.
I
familiarity.
don't
On-
hate it.
I'm on your
I'm just
side here.
saying it's a little bit overrated of a book. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I feel like that's
I don't remember any of these names.
I should be like, so how many Maddens have come out in the last 10 years?
Well, we got Madden 20. We got Madden
Which is another game
21.
that never changes and people keep buying every year. Right, Anthony?
Yeah. You know how much money they make off of the Ultimate Team? They make millions of dollars
Oh,
off
sure.
Ultimate Team.
And now that college students are getting paid, NCAA will have
yeah.
names on their jerseys and it's resurfacing.
Yep.
So everybody gets $5. It's going to be great.
I know certain football players are actually getting like sponsorships with like local restaurants and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, who's got two? Does anybody have two?
yeah, 5.
Okay.
Surely. 5. Ooh, anybody got 6?
Wow, Matt.
No, but wait for it.
I got 3.
Anthony probably has like, what, 7 or 8, right?
I have the whale that falls down.
Dear Lord. All right, Z.
All right, I feel way better now because I went with the towel because you always have to have a towel, and the dolphins that say so long and thanks for all the fish.
All right, Z, let's hear your 5.
Oh, 4. I'm sorry. It's actually 4.
4.
But
Okay,
just
go for the 4.
disclaimer. Before I say these, I've never read it and I've never seen the movie.
Oh, wow. So
Alan
this is just
Rickman-
from secondhand information.
Yes. Alan
Okay.
Rickman, Most Deaf, Martin Freeman, and Zoe Deschanel.
Come on.
That's all I've never seen it. I've seen the whale part because I used to work at Blockbuster and we were watching
That's
it one
right,
day.
you did work.
And somebody was like, "Hey, watch this part, and that's all I remember.
Wow.
It's the whale that turns.
That's
into a
impressive.
man. So, yeah,
That's impressive.
done.
Yeah, I think that's the part of the book when I was reading it, with the whale part. When I was reading it, I was like, yeah, this isn't as fun as he thinks it is.
It's hilarious.
It's pretty fun.
Jeremy, so do you have it, Jeremy?
Yeah, what you got, Jeremy?
I mean, I got 3.5.
Okay, 3.5. Let's hear the 3.5.
Arthur Marvin, Ford Prefect, and Beeble Brox or something like that.
Robot?
Is
That is
Oh,
actually
yeah.
correct.
That is right.
yeah.
Is that the robot?
I don't know what
No,
the
that's the
first
president.
name is.
The president guy.
Oh. Who's the
President
robot?
of the galaxy. Or whatever, you know.
There we go.
Okay.
Looks like it's 1-1. It's a tie game between
It is
Amanda
a
and
tie.
Jeremy right now.
It
Who's gonna pull us out?
Okay.
It's been a
Well,
long time since I
we're
read
going
that book.
back to video games.
Oh.
Actually, we're going to go back to video game consoles and see how many video game consoles can you name?
What?
Oh Jesus!
This Matt
All right,
Go-
so
Googles
we
it.
counting
Matt's Googling
different-
it right now.
I'm typing on Notepad. It's a mechanical keyboard, so it's loud. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Are we counting different generations of the same thing?
Oh, like
Please say
Game
no.
Boy.
Like,
No, just say generation.
yeah, well, yeah, no.
Can we? So like when console, you mean like home console, not like a handheld, or does it?
Yeah,
matter?
like
Doesn't
home. Yeah, no. Let's
Okay.
skip the handhelds. No
matter? Okay,
handhelds.
thank you.
And
There's a
we're
ton of
so
them.
like Xbox would be one, right?
Correct.
Not Xbox 360, Xbox.
Correct.
Oh, okay. So
Oh, okay.
wait. So what
Because
about
they all play. Okay. Let me break this down.
please.
Consoles. When I say generational, if it plays the same format. So like a PlayStation has a disc, a PlayStation 2 has a disc, a PlayStation 3 has a like you
Giving
can't.
us all the answers.
I'm giving you all the answers.
or do you just want companies?
No, I need consoles
I'm
because you might forget one. I'm telling you, you might forget one.
So we're not saying handheld. It can't be any
No
sort of
handhelds.
handheld.
Yeah, Nintendo DSs do not count. No Game Boys. No Game Gears. Okay.
Man, what's the name of the first one? Like the first one, not the first one that everybody knows.
Okay. few more seconds. Amanda's thinking.
So we're saying
hard. That's
like
her
we're saying
thinking face.
PlayStation is 1, right? We're saying
Because they're all
PlayStation-
disc. Because they're all disc, right?
Yeah, within that particular brand. Yeah, a particular name of console.
There we go.
Okay, who has 6? Anybody?
Got 9.
Okay, Jeremy has 9.
I have 10.
10. Who's got 11?
Think I have 17.
Ooh,
good lord.
What?
My word.
This was the one I thought I was gonna win.
I think I'm a little confused because I only have 5.
How do you... Okay.
So
let's-
for context right now, the book I'm writing, I just had to like go
She
over
just,
origins
like,
of the
got all-
industry.
Gotta be.
It's
So I
fresh
have
on
a-
her brain right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to hear the 17
Yeah.
right.
consoles.
Should I do? Can I list my 11 and then I'm
And then
wait,
she
hold on.
fills in the blanks?
Go.
Yeah, go ahead. Do that.
And then
Let's
she-
hear your 11.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Atari. Nintendo.
Which Atari?
The Atari one.
Just stop now. Just stop now.
Just say Jaguar.
That's
know
the
what?
one I was forgetting.
Okay,
What's the
keep going.
First one? What's the very first console? What is that called again?
The Magnavox Odyssey.
Yeah.
There it is. Boom.
Wait, that
You know
doesn't. You don't write that down, Dan, Anthony.
So now I'm too embarrassed to give my list. So Amanda, please,
Okay.
can you just give your 17? They've shamed me to the point
They have.
where I
yeah.
can't give all my answers anymore.
All right. The Magnavox Odyssey. The Atari. I put down the 2600 because I couldn't remember Jaguar and all of that.
Yep.
The ColecoVision.
ColecoVision, yes.
The Fairchild Channel F. The technically Atari had a home Pong, like
It
just
did.
Pong before
Correct.
everything else, but I don't know if that
They
counts.
I will count
Um,
that. That's impressive.
The Sega Genesis.
Okay.
The Sega Dreamcast.
Okay.
The NES and SNES.
Mm-hmm.
The N64. The GameCube. PlayStations 1 through 4. The Switch, the Wii, and the Wii U. And Xbox collectively, and the Famicom, which I don't know if that counts as
It does.
separate from the NES.
I will count that just because.
Objection.
You know what? I'm impressed.
What are you
right now.
objecting to?
Objection. You said of the same format: SNES, Super Nintendo, and 64R cartridge, right?
Okay,
But they're different types
so
of cartridges.
they're different
so
types
NES
of
and
cartridges.
SNES are the same cartridge. 64 is a different
The
cartridge.
64 is a different cartridge.
Okay.
Top loader.
But it's
But
like
even
even though the form factor is the same,
A
it's
disc is
different.
round and has the same
So
shape.
what about DVD versus Blu-ray
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I mean, that's still because you got like
mini
Sega
disc.
CD,
It's
Sega
still a-
Saturn, all these.
and
Yeah.
then mini disc for GameCube?
Yeah.
Oh, Sega Saturn. I forgot that one too.
Yeah, the old
Oh
Saturn.
yeah, Sega Saturn. I forgot about that one as well.
That's
I'm just impressed with Amanda's early list.
I
That
think
was
Amanda
very
wins
well.
it regardless.
I
Yeah,
think
it doesn't matter
so.
what else.
Even if we took out half. Her
Were there
list.
any that were not mentioned that y'all have?
I just
Nope.
had the Sega CD and Sega Saturn. I think it wasn't mentioned.
Yep. She had
Commodore 64? Was that a?
That's
Commodore.
the computer.
That was a computer.
Oh, technicality.
My PC.
Whatever. My PC, my console.
So
Do we
interestingly
need to do
enough,
another list of PC?
Maybe oh Lord.
Here
no,
we
we'd
go.
be here forever. And next
They,
week we'll talk about handhelds. No.
there's been
Yeah.
like a renaissance of people buying Commodore 64s and writing games in assembly, and there's a whole series of books on it. Like it's oddly coming back for some reason.
Taking it
Okay.
back to a better time when there was only men playing games.
That's right.
We talked about this, right?
It has never
I think
been
what-
only men playing games.
Right. I think that's what Jeremy is trying to say. He's reminiscing on a better time.
Well, congratulations. Amanda has won trivia for the night.
There you
She's
go.
I would have
taken
felt real
2
bad if
rounds.
I had smack talked Anthony and then it didn't turn out in my favor.
She wins.
Hey, look, that was very impressive.
It's always
All right.
stacked against Anthony to make sure he doesn't win. So
Well, that was the show, everyone. Thank you so much. Amanda, it was great having you on. A blast having you on. Thank you so much for doing that. Matt Zee, it was great to see you again after 10 years. It's good that you came out of hiding.
Maybe we'll see him in another 10. Who knows?
And we won't see. And I'm looking forward to seeing you when we're all holding in. When my son's going to college, maybe we'll have a conversation. But yeah, and then
I know you have to do your unboxing next.
Right.
That's right. We could do
So you will see
unboxing
him.
of my
We'll do that
in-game
soon.
Thor. In-game Thor. I'm pretty excited about that. But the fact that they said it's coming out early kind of upset me a little bit. The estimated date was January. No,
Well, I think it's scheduled for November. Sorry, everybody, we're talking toys here, but I think it said like November. So.
well, anyways.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, and then Jeremy, thank you so much for being here as well. All right, excellent.
It's like, sure.
Sure, whatever. I got nothing else to do. All right, that's the show. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and Spotify. Like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Right. Goodbye, everybody.